Alright guys, another edition of I Be Having Questions. I had a couple things on my mind today. I just did one video, but I kind of want to do another one because I got a serious question, and this is kind of a racial topic, which I don't like to do these much, but this is just something I really want to get the people's opinion about. Among black people, this is for my black people, for white people can listen to it too, but I want to ask my black people, as far as oppression in America, as black Americans, as our oppression has obviously gone from slavery and progressed differently to nowadays. The question on the spectrum is, how much of the oppression that we face today is self-inflicted versus still being a part of systemic racism and all those things? Because I believe that the percentage has shifted. And, you know, a lot of times I talk to a lot of my black co-workers and black friends and stuff like that about certain life choices and things they do. And it's like, I'll give you an example. I work in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee is probably one of the worst crime-ridden cities in America. There's a big pocket of low income or poor black people that live in like this one pocket of the city. And it's just like a jungle, basically. It's a jungle. Like, my coworkers that grew up there their whole life don't even like driving down certain streets in that area because it's like, they say it's so bad. Like, I don't really have to deal with it myself because I commute from Illinois, so I never have to drive through there. I just drive up and drive back for work. But all my coworkers just tell me stories about how bad it is and how they can't go outside and all this stuff. And it's like, it's crazy, man, because it's like majority of black people living in the area inflicting all this oppression and pain on each other. You know, you got these guys called the Kia boys that go around stealing any Kia they can get their hands on because a certain year models of Kias, I guess, are really easy to break into. So they just go around stealing all the Kias and Sonatas and like Korean-made cars that are easy to break into, terrorizing the neighborhood. You got shootings every day. I mean, just as bad as you can imagine. That's how it is. So my question to my coworkers is like, why don't you move? Or why don't you move to the suburbs where it's quiet where I'm at? Like, I be just walking down the street of my, neighborhood, no problems. And a lot of their answer to me is, this is why I asked the self-inflicted question. A lot of their answers to me are, oh, that's just too boring for me. Ain't no action. Ain't nothing going on. I don't like living in a quiet neighborhood. I need some action that's going on. So it's like, it's almost like at this point we've conditioned ourselves or people in that area that live there that don't want to move. Because my coworker that says that, they make pretty good money. They could probably move anywhere they want. I even think they said their current rent is like $1,700 a month that they're paying to live in this environment. So they can take that, go somewhere else in a better environment, but they choose not to. So it's like, how much of that is systemic racism versus you not taking charge of your own life and making a better decision or a different decision, right? I don't get that. And let me tell y'all, I didn't want this video to be that long, but I got to tell y'all the stories that this coworker have told me about where she live at. She told me stories about shootouts that were so close to her house. There was like a club or a bar near her house, and the club and bar was getting real rowdy a lot of nights, and people would get into it, and people would start shooting all this stuff right behind her house, like right behind her back fence and stuff like that. She said it got so bad that they started chasing each other out the club, shooting each other, doing all this stuff, running through her yard, shooting at each other, basically having shootouts in her backyard. And I say, so you telling me people's having shootouts in your backyard, and yet you don't want to move because you don't want to be bored in the suburbs? She said, yeah, it's just too boring. I'm like, okay. She told me another story. She said her husband is a flashy guy. He's one of those guys with the big chains. He's a flashy guy, big chains, nice car, one of them flashy dudes, right? She say some goon bust in her house, took his chain, took his jewelry. They knew where he lived, took all his stuff, robbed him, bust in the house, robbed him, took all his stuff, gun to his head, everything. I say, then so shootouts in your backyard, people busting in your house, putting the gun to your head and stuff, and you still don't want to move. You say, nah, that's my neighborhood, and it's not no action nowhere else. And I'm just looking at her with like this dumbfounded look like, you don't even really know how to say nothing to respond to people when they say stuff like that. I'm like, so how much is it the system? Is that the system? Is that racism keeping her down? Will she make this amount of money? She can move anywhere she wants to. She can move in quote unquote white neighborhoods. She can move to the good neighborhood. She make enough money for the deposit. She got no problems moving. She chooses to stay there. How much of our oppressed condition nowadays is self-inflicted versus the system? What percentage? That's just what I want to know, because in my mind, it's like, it seemed like to me when I hear stuff like that, it's like 70% is when you have an opportunity to do something and you don't, it's basically at that point becoming on you more than it is on the system. Now, there is a lot of people that don't make the money she make, and they can't move because they can't afford to move. Those are the people that still are truly still oppressed, right? Like, they can't move nowhere else, they just can't afford it. So they stuck. She's not stuck. So for the people that are not stuck, what do you have to say as far as like oppression and all that type of stuff? For all of us that's not stuck and we're blessed and fortunate enough to choose a better way, or essentially buy your way out of oppression, or buy your way out of a neighborhood or a system, and you don't, what does that mean? Is that your fault? Is that the system's fault? What does that mean? I just wanted to get my black friends' take on that. This video ended up being way longer than I thought it was going to be, but hope y'all can watch through the end. Let me know what y'all think. I'll talk to y'all later.